a very quick presentation of Shixia Yang. Shixia Yang is here with us for a couple of weeks. He comes from the Institute of Vertebrate, Paleontology and Paleoanthropology of Beijing in China, and also for the Chinese Academy of Sciences. She's here with two students of her, Fai Shang and Jing Wen, and they're working with us in microscopic studies of stone tools in this case. And the first time we met her is many years ago in one of our trips to China in 2012 with a trip that organized Ethel in a project. At that moment, she was a PhD student of our friend Hu Yamei. And then he, 5 years ago, in 2019, she was in a postdoc in Germany, in the Max Planck Institute, and she took the advantage to visit us. She was actually, is the second time she's giving a talk in this room. And after that talk, she asked to come with us to the port excavation. She visited for a week there. And in that moment, she offered us the study of short collection of pieces. At the moment, we thought, okay, this is a small collaboration that ended in a very important paper. It was the Nature paper of the Xiaobei site. And after that, she proposed a second study, in this case, the Shiyu site. Both sites are from the Yihuan Basin, that she would, I imagine you will show the sites. And then this time, after that, those collaborations, she organized a couple of international projects. One of them devoted to the study of the Middle Pleistocene lithic technology, and the second to the expansion of the modern humans, in which also Ethel is involved. And then, in the frame of those projects, we did the first trip last November. In that case, Gordon and I, we went to Beijing. We stayed there for a couple of weeks. And now this is the first time that she's coming with the students. So we hope this will be the beginning of a collaborating network that we hope will be really fruitful. So thank you, very welcome. And okay, we are going to talk about the Paleolithic explorations in East Asia. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I think it's like an old friend come back to visit. I'm so happy to see the familiar face here. And maybe it's difficult for Chinese people, for Asian people. Even I can speak English, and I had lived a long time in Europe. Sometimes I hard to pronouncing Asian your name in correct way. I'm sure I remember all the face, and I know how to write the name. And sorry, sometimes maybe I call you in a very wrong way. Please forgive me. And yes, just as Andrew said, recent year we have applied two projects. One is from the National Science Foundation. The other is from the Chinese Academy of Science. Chinese Academy of Science is very encourage the researchers, the employees to build up international friendship and cooperation. So we mainly work in the frame under the partnership of Chinese Academy of Science with Andreu and Adela. And I'm very happy because I know both of them more than 10 years ago. Like when I'm a student, like today I bring my student here, I told it very important to traveling and knowing people. Some people very you will talk together, thinking together, and later they will be a working partner like today. So shortly like this, and I will begin my presentation. I will bring here the last 10 years, what I have done, several papers and several projects I have done with different people. 10 years, it's mainly from the end of my PhD to today, the last 10 years. And I generally, for the beginning, I will give some background information because some of you maybe get very familiar with Asian Paleolithic archaeology. But because of the language, most of the archaeological reports and research papers about East Asia, mainly China, is published in Chinese. So it may be difficult for you to get through all the details. So I will give background information. And then I will, like I said, I will introduce my recent work in the past 10 years. And then I will say why I did this, how these implications to the human evolution globally. And at the end, I will shortly introduce some things ongoing with me and Andreu and Adele, what we are doing now. And the background information, firstly, okay, in China, the beginning of the Paleolithic and the Paleoanthropology is from the famous Peking man foundings in the early 1920s. And for that time, mainly by the some Europeans people came, they found some missions of religions, but they finally begins to finding fossils and linking in China. Some very big names like Chardin and other peoples, they published Paleolithic de la China like this. And then in the 1949, the new China founded. And from that time, we begin like a big funding phrase, because at that time, our institute, the IVPP, sending out a group of archaeologists, paleoanthropologists, and gnatologists to different provinces of China area to find sites and to report the site. For that time, every year, a lot of things report, but no detailed studies. And now, not like today, like modern science, that is more like a founding age. And after 1978, for economically and politically, we have in the opening up policies. At the same time, like the CS, we have the like project and the policies for opening up for academic. So from the 1980s, we begin the international cooperations for study the paleoanthropology and the Paleolithic. So at that time, we begin to do some detailed studies, like we found the new site, Xiaochang, which before this, we think the oldest site is Peking Man. And then we found Xiaochang became the oldest site. So it's a landmark in China. And then at the same time, they found some other important sites like Daliman, Jinniushan. And later, after 2000, we see the booming of the archaeological and paleoanthropological research in China. Yes, it's there's some nature science paper. Maybe you have already read the both biophysis from my professor, Yamei Ho, for 2000. This is the first science paper about lithic in China. And later we have the Majiango dating, and we have this Xuchangman and Chongzhuo mandible. And also recently we have the Guanyindong. We have the Loa discussion about China, how it look like, and whether it's the Loa like in Western. And I'm very lucky, including in the work in the Shangchen site, which is the now oldest site out of Africa. And also recently, just like Andreu said, we have worked on Xiaomabei and Shiyu, both are published in the Nature family journals. Okay, so why I did this and why I want to spend so many energies to doing this, because of in Eastern China, in Eastern Asia, in China, we have this kind of long sequence of quaternary terror deposits with rich archaeological sites and paleoanthropological sites. And although we have these good geological documents and archaeological documents, but for a long time, there is like a blank of knowledge. I think in western part of Eurasia continent and Africa, we building up clear technical changes, behavioral changes. But in Eastern Asia, long times we think from nearly 2 million to 40,000, there is no change. Simple linguistic, simple people, the same lineage, and till to the microblade. So when I'm a student, I'm thinking this question, is this true? And if it's true, why? So from then on, around 10 years, I'm working out on this question, spend a lot of time. And I'm very lucky because from the last 10 years, I have opportunities to work from the early Pleistocene till to the terminal. Even recently, I worked some early Neolithic. So for this reason, today I can share like from the very 2 million years to the recent like 10,000. So this is the following what I will talk. The studies on the early Pleistocene sites, we begin from here. Most of the early Pleistocene famous sites in China is in this geological rift. It's like, for me, it's like Ordway Rift, but it's larger. And in this region, the top is the Nihe one. The bottom is the Weihe Basin. Maybe you do not familiar with Weihe Basin but you must know the Lantian Homo skull and also know the Shangchen site. They are from here. And for my PhD, I working in the Linfen Basin. Here has the Xihodu, another early site, and Dingfen. Okay, so we first from the Weihe Basin, from the earliest one. This is the 2.1 million years old in Shangchen site. In fact, it's a 10 years long geological cooperation. This paper is mainly published how we dated the long sequence, and we made just generally mentioned what kind of linthic we have. I did the description of the linthic. It's very general. And this is what I told. Maybe you do not know the Weihe Basin, but you must know the famous Gongwangling Lantian man and Chen Jiawo, another Homo Mandible. And also here, our new site, Shangchen. You see, it's just in the two sides of the Bahe River. This side is Lantian, and this is Shangchen. So this is the reason one in the past 10 years, some old professors, they work from the beginning of 2002 until the 2012. We finally found the first linthic in the very old layer. That day I'm in the field, but I'm very beginning student at that time. So this is the sequence. I don't know, maybe some of you have been there to the Loess Plateau, but if you haven't been there, see this sequence. It's it's very nice profiles. So, and also the geologists already dated these layers. So exactly when you find some artifact, you can know the general age of the artifact. And this is what I mentioned. If you do not know Weihe Basin, you must know this. And because of this site, the geologists want to redate this. In the JHE, Journal of Human Evolution, they published the date to the 1.6, because earlier it's 1.1 million years. Now it's 1.6, I think it's published in JHE. The same group, I'm working with the same group. After the Gongwangling redating, we search for the Shangchen site. This is the Shangchen. It's me in 2012. It's time flies, so already 12 years ago. And we did this. Just like I said, we just general describe. No detailed studies on the fauna, whether there's a cart mark or what kind of cart mark. No, we mainly published 10 years of field work and the geological dating. And this is the fauna. A lot is unclaimed, they're unopened, we do not know. Now it's still in the block. We need time to work. This is also the linthics, what I'm working. I will go do it next step. And this is also we're doing. Because it's very old, we must first to prove what kind of linthic and what possible technique, and then see how the tools prepared. And because why this finding is important, some international scholars have commented why Shangchen is important. It's published 2018 in Nature, and it's important to see how early can human out of Africa, and we rethinking the possible route and possible geological background. It's also because when we're working for the early Pleistocene, a lot of connections between the geologists, contemporary geologists, to know the background, to know the dates. So it's opening our mind to thinking how early can it be and how it would look like. And then we moved to another part, the Nihe Basin. Another, I think it's like a treasure box. It's a really treasure box for the archaeologist. This is, I think, the first trip from you go to from Andreu and Adela, you go to the Nihe Basin. After that, in fact, since 2016, I have worked for now almost 8 years there. This is the famous Nihonwan Basin. You may know this name from the English publications. This famous early Pleistocene site. This is Majiango in the corner. Before Shangcheng, this is the earliest Eastern Asian site. This is a new trip to Nihonwan. Last winter, we go there with Andreu. We go to because we're working on the Xiama Bay during the COVID. So Andreu never been to Xiama Bay. He published with us. This is until last year, he finally been there. And this is the Majiango, the 1.6. There is a lot of elephant bones there, and there are a cut mark on this elephant bone. So I will just generally show you the sequence here and how the site is. If there is this is in the paper, you see the hammerstone and the cut marks, the percussion marks. So we have so many sites, and we can building up the chronology and technological sequence in this basin. We should thank the geological team. I did the first postdoc in these geological teams because they built up the nice sequence for the Nihonwan Basin. And because of their work, I can do this. I generally thinking that in the past 1.6 million years, I don't believe nothing changed, nothing happened. So I did this review papers. I think maybe you have read it. I generally put it into the late, middle, early Pleistocene because in China, as the old knowledge thinks all the early stage is very simple. So we do not have middle Pleistocene. It's a big argument between archaeologists in China whether there's some middle stage. So most of the Eastern archaeologists will tell you we only have 2 stages. So, but I do not believe, but at the moment I cannot invent new name. So I use the geological. So we can see from the early Pleistocene, we have some very formal tools, and in the middle it seems to go to another way, and at the end it's changed back to very nice late Pleistocene. Some are related to modern humans nice tools. So, and this is the. When I see this, I'm very curious about the early Pleistocene because I think some of the tools are so formal and nice and regular. It's almost like something in the middle and the late Pleistocene. What this happened? It's 1 million years ago. And then I'm thinking, why at this time window, it's so special, it have so good tools, but later when I started the site 900,000, it's not as good as something older than 1 million. So what happened between the transition from the early to the middle Pleistocene? So I did some comparative studies and then published several papers to see this middle Pleistocene transitions. In the onset of this climate event, we see the growing of the number of the site and the number of artifacts, and also we see the beautiful tools I showed in the slides before. And at the end of this event, we see the decline of the site density, the number of the artifacts. So this I call it it's how to the feedback from the humans to this climate transmit in the high latitude of North China. Okay, this is what I send in the middle. You can see. Yes, this is from the Majiango, and this is from the site around 1.1, 1.2. It's Donggutuo and Cengjiawan. And then this is from Maliang, a younger site. This is definitely the best looking one. Okay. So I also put it back in the background, compare with anthropology and the geological, environmental, and generally to look the sequence from the whole Eastern Asia. We find this stage is very, very important and have the stories about how humans to feedback to the change of the climate in the high latitude when it's changed more cold and harsh. At the beginning, they try to improve their technique and to adapt. And later, they are not so, it's so harsh, they move the south. So later we have a contemporary science research paper to tell that at the same time, when around the end of this transition stage, we have more population in the century. Okay, so now we move to the middle Pleistocene. In fact, my PhD is about middle Pleistocene, and after that, I have not worked a lot on the middle Pleistocene until the last year. I back to this topic because I have 3 new sites very interesting in this stage. More story coming later. This is the new site. Maliang is not published properly yet. This time, God come with me. We go to this collection to have a general check. We want to continue about how the Nihewan middle Pleistocene look like. Whether it's really like what I have earlier published, it's easy and simple, or it's just change the way to adaptation. They have other new things do not have in the early stage. And then we in the Linfen Basin. Where I did my PhD, we also have the sites like the Kehe. It's a very giant flake. You see the giant flake. And also we do some field service in this area. So now back to my PhD. My PhD about Australia in China. I work on the Dingsun site because at that time, this is, I think it's almost 15 years. 15 years ago, we still like very hot topic whether there is Australian in China. But today, as more and more sites found, I think few people question about this. Okay, this is the Dingsun site. Dingsun site is more famous for this human tooth. But now, recently, they have some published dating paper, chronological paper. They are questioning about whether these tooths are together with the linthics, because they redated the linthic layer, the culture layer to this. But both the paleoanthropologists think the dental have some features which is more like recent, not middle plankton. This is not my area. I have no comments. I only can say the culture layer is in the end of the middle plankton phase. What it look like? It look like this. It's Australian, yes. So I published paper is Australian. It's my title. My paper is a question: is this Australian? Yeah, we have this kind of cleavers and peaks and some bifacials. Also some kind of giant retouched. You can call it a scraper or giant heavy things. This is made of a home file, and also we have some polyhedrons and ball-like things. And so for the middle Pleistocene, for the past 10 years, I stopped at my PhD. I mainly focused on the Dingsun. And then until last year, as I said, I begin it again. I think it should be more interesting. And then the studies of late Pleistocene take me a lot of time in recent 5 years, I think. I introduce another work. I work with the students and the Salawusu. In fact, this is a very early found site. It's found in 1990. Let me see, 1923. So 1903 or 4. So last year we celebrate the 100th birthday of this site. The Salawusu site, it's in the Inner Mongolians, in the south edge of the Mongolian plateaus. What kind of tools? They have this kind of tiny tools. The tool is more or less all like this, but very fine retouched. It's too small for like to see the retouch details. We do all the 3D scan by microCT, and we also do some microwave analysis to see if it's so tiny. It's like your skills, how you use it. So maybe hafted. So we do some like microwire analysis out and this kind of 3D models to see how they retouch these themes and how they use it. And now we go to another part that recent year we spend a lot of time, and we will also spend a lot of time. It's an international team. Here we have Andreu from Spain, and also the Francisco's from France, and Michael Petraglia. At that time, he's in German, so it's a Chinese team with a European team. Okay, what we did, we did studies on two sister sites, the Xiama Bay and the Shiyu site. We first published Xiama Bay and later Shiyu. These two sites are both on the Nihewan Basin, but it's in the large Nihewan Basin. Nihewan Basin is composed of three smaller basins. The usually one you know from the Majiangou and the Xiaochangliang is the Yangyuan Basin, which is the northmost, and the southern part is the Yuxian Basin, where Xiama Bay located. And Shiyu is in the western part, which called the Datong Basin. So, but they together being the Nihewan big basins. So they are very similar geological background and similar in age. One is 40,000 years and one is 45,000 years. Okay, we begin with the older one, the elder sister, Shiyu. Shiyu, in fact, is also a heritage site. It's national heritage. It's also heritage for IVPP because it's I think in an interview when this paper published, I said it's from the, like my grandpa teacher generations to me. Finally, we defined the age and we did the technological analysis because it's found in 1963. It's almost like 50 years ago, past the 4 generations, and finally to me, it's like because like the professor of Yamei, like my grandfather. Professor, when he retired, he said to me, Shixia must finish this work. So this is why I spend a long time on old collections. I know a lot of my friends international comment me, Shixia, you have a new site, you have a good new material. Why you spend nearly 3 years on these old things? I have my reason. I have very good reason. It's very interesting site. In the first things, I think maybe it's a mix. If somebody taking something back from Europe mixed into the Shiyu site, but I checked, I'm sorry, the slide is not so clear when it's into the big screen. You can see the label, it says the founding age, 63, the 1963. So it's the same collections. In the same collections, we can see two kind of features. One kind is this kind of lower point with impact fractures, interesting, and several. We can see the very fine retouched platform prepared to get this triangle point. And the other, we have some very strange 10th point, 10th tool. We will not call it a point because it hafted a lot of things. They make 10th even for scrapers. It's a very crazy, make 10. Almost, I think I forgot the exact numbers, including the broken ones. Some are broken, only have 10. So it's like 40 pieces, more than 40 pieces like this. And some like traditionally we think the Asian dendriculates and the script. All these features are together. We also have some nice borers. Okay. About this site, when the first question I need to answer is the exactly date. So we go to the old site because now it's the national heritage. It's not allowed to re-excavation. You cannot do new excavation. So we cleaned all the sections to do the sequence samplings for OSL to see whether this is a sequence site. And then to do the exactly, because when you date, okay, you know the age of the sediment, but how to see the relationship of the sediment and the artifact, we find the solutions. We dating the bones with cut mark directly, and then you know most close time to these things. This mark must be cut when it's fresh to leave this. So we dated it's all these 3 bones at the same age. 45,000, and we did another 7 bones without cut mark. It's just because when we sampling, it's a very rich site. When we go to resampling the OSL samples, there is bones when you make a hole to get OSL sample. So we send bones in the hole to dating directly. That bones are just nature bones and the teeth. The result is the same. The 10 results of carbon dating is correspondingly very nicely to 45,000. The other interesting things from this site is obsidians. When I first see it, I'm also very surprised because we never seen the obsidians in Nihon Basin. And okay, so strange. And then another strange thing is all very small. And so we do some morphology and also the microwave analysis on this, whether it's used or transport or some information. Just generally, I do not know whether we have a result. I just want to know how different it's compared to the other materials in the site. The result showing that at the same time, this is obsidians. Of course, you can do the trans element analysis by the geochemical method. So we did this. And one piece is have the chance of the transport, and the other piece is also used this piece is used. This is quite fresh. I don't know, maybe they take very like it. And all these obsidians are very well retouched. Very nice small tools. This is and scrapers. And this is a small kind of small borers. These obsidians are transported from around 800 kilometers from the site. 800 to 1,000 kilometers to the site from the northeast China. And then this site also, except for the linthic, which I like, and also have something I'm not working on, so I cooperated with Francisco, this kind of disc, graphite disc. We do the Raman to identify the raw material. We also under the microscope to see whether there is the chances of how it's made and how it's used. And also a very small pointed bones. This is very interesting because it's like a bifacial retouch. It treats it like a stone. So it's like make a small point. We do some analysis on this. Although it's too broken, too small, you cannot identify what kind of animals it's come from. We do the micro CT to see the structure inside the bone to guess which kind of animal. The analysis, they cannot give you species, but they can tell you, okay, so some giant mammals, maybe like horse or some big animals. So after this, I like art at the same time. Every time I have good stories, I want to make pictures. This is the reconstructions of Shixia hunter-gatherer. I think maybe a lot of news have this as the advisement photos. And I make this, it's interesting, and another story, maybe not related to the academic. In these pictures, at the first time, the artist only drawn the 5 men. I said, okay, please put 2 women. It's we need females. It's not fair. And even in the prehistory, I think females act very important roles in the hunting-gatherer societies. So they put 2 females for me. Okay, it's a story because the person leading the project is a female, so asked to do this. And now we follow to the Shixia side. For Xiamabei side, the younger sister. Yes, it's just slightly younger than the Shixia, but it's very different. This is also because of this reason I came back to find Andreu, because I cannot solve it myself. I know there is something strange, but I need to somebody share me and agree with me. So now the Xiamabei site, we also did carbon datings and OSL, make these Bayes models to exactly to know the age. It's around 39,000 to 41,000. So exactly around 40,000. Yes, like I said, it's the basin like here. Xiamabei is here in the Yuxian Basin. All the famous early Pleistocene sites in here in Yangyuan Basin. And this is how the Xiamabei site look like. It's a very small site. It's only 12 square meters, but it's very lovely. See, if you put the findings in 8, this here have the ochre, earth, and all the foam tools and linthics on the floor. It's like a prehistorical floor. It's buried immediately in the short time. So it's good for microbial analysis and for other rebuilding of the site. This is the ochre processing evidence. Most people are attracted by this because this is now is the earliest known ochre processing evidence in the Eastern Asia. You have, when it's founding, it's finding the two small heritites with this large grading stone and another maybe hammer stones together. We do all this together with Francisco de Racos because in China before we do not do the detailed studies on ochre, and he is a good specialist on this. So I invited him to join us. We do the surface reconstruction to see the clear chance and the chance of ochre producing, and also the ochre residues on the surface of this big slab. And also we do some geochemical work to identify the ochres. I will not go very details. You can find the paper. What is interesting is we do the sediment analysis because I do my first postdoctor in the Geological Institute. So I like geological method a lot. So when the reviewer questioning, you have this red place, you will see it's related to human. But it can be nature, it can be geological. To prove this, we sampling all around the site and inside the site, get 12 samples of sediment and did a series of analysis. I will not really go detail to XRD, XRF, and magnetism. It's complicated. And we'll get these final figures to prove only the sediment from these areas have the ochre radius. Okay, so we reconstruct a picture just like this. And for other people, the attractive things is ochre. For me, it's the linthic. Because in China, I have worked in so many years and I'm doing whole studies, like linthic should like this. It should be something clear retouched at tool. But when I go to Xiaomabe, there's no clear retouch tools. Why? So nice a tool, so nice site without tools. What they used? So later, this I use my lab very low magnifications microscope to say, oh, they're perhaps useware, but I'm not a good specialist. So I came to Andreu to make sure what I have seen is real useware. So I take the things to Tarragona and to Andreu. So later we have very nice work from Andreu. And then we know how they solve the problem. They do not retouch tools, but they have nice tools for hafting the elongated pieces. Okay, so I like art, I said. So after the work, we rebuilt these pictures because this is very like exactly what the site looked like. The site is in the river terrace, and then if you put the site map to this, you will see we recomputed a human just like what recorded in the site. Because according to the useware analysis from Andreu, we will see the butchering tools are together here, and the tools for woodwork is here. So we can rebuild the activities of the people in these pictures. So we said it's a vivid pictures of the human's life in Eurasia, in Eastern Asia, 40,000 years ago. Okay. Then we go to the terminal plankton site and the Neolithic transition. This is a surprise for me because when I'm a PhD student, I swear I was working on early plankton the whole life. And then I get this late plankton and even to the early Holocene. Okay, so it's a joke. I'm also interested in the young thing because yes, like or do not like, I have published several papers about the terminal plankton. So I'm also interested in young things. It's interesting. And from the young side, I work in two parts of China. One part is the northeast China. The other part is the southwest of China. I don't know why I did this. I have my reason, I will tell you, because the northeast is a crossroad to Russia and even to North America. It's very important for the terminal planktons, even related to early peopling of Americans. So if you continue the project, you have very long definitions to do. So this is generally about microplate. And in my team, we have another Paleolithic archaeologist, Dr. Jianping Yuan. He did most of this work. If you are interested, you can search. It's all published. And we also see the transition from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic, the transition. Begin the pottery, partly grinding the stone tools, the essels, some things in the Neolithic begins the arrest in the BA stage. We have published 2 papers about this material, so you can find. And we also I have a thinking I have said why I'm so interested in Northeast Asia here, because it's like a crossroads from the Eurasia, then to the other big continent, the American. So today we're also doing some more further work to connect these 2 parts. Okay, so the other, I go to the Southwest. Why I'm interested in the Southwest, it's even in the boundary of China to Burma. Why I'm go this side? Because this is another crossroads. It's connected the whole Southeast Asia and even go to the Australian. So it's an important route. So I come to here to work. In the South China, generally we think there is a large cobble tools. Maybe you have read a lot about South China cobble tools things, but in my study, there's a nice small something like bladelet. It's not microblade, but it's very similar morphology and technology. This is Shixia Yang, my student's master thesis. Now he continued his PhD in these areas. This is also about how they make this elongated small pieces and how the micro tools can be in the Southwest China. And we also do some things in the microblade in South China. It's a big surprise in this point. In the very near to China South Sea, you have a microblade, but it's truly in the very north and in the tropical region. Why? So a lot of question marks. This is the middle Holocene site. And my student, Shixia Yang, as I said, he continued in the Southwest China. He studied another cave site, recently published a paper about this January Linsic about this site. Yeah, how this mix of different kind of technique and different kind of tools. They have the tiny tools like in North China, but also have these giant tools more similar to Southeastern Asia. So also these herpinium tools. Yes, as I said, you can read his paper, his recent paper, to see how this mixed together appeared in the Southwest China at the terminal of the late Pleistocene. And how these implications for the human evolution, why I did this and why I continue to do this. Firstly, for the early Pleistocene, like the beginning I have said, I want to share the new views on this, how it should be traditionally very simple, and whether it have some changes, the innovations, and if have, how it's different from Africa and Europe. So, and continue put effort on building up these sequences in Eastern Asia. And also, when the second topic, the late Pleistocene, is for the more dispersal of modern humans. Before there is empty, it's blank. We do not have knowledge about how we have the DNA data about modern humans in Eastern Asia from Tianyuan. We have the fossils from several sites, but what is the behaviors? So from the Shiyu and the Xiama Bay, we know the behaviors. We know how it's beginning the mix and how the localization happened and how they have some special innovations when the modern humans in Eastern Asia facing different ecological background. And also, as I said, for the Northeast and the Southwest China, I also connect the very special locations and climate background of these regions to discussing how the peopling people in history in this special crossroads and what's the relationship between these to the climate background. So the new understanding of the variability of human beings in the terminal of the pleistocene. So what in the past 10 years I'm working, and I'm very lucky to have big teams behind me cooperated with me from my supervisor, from my postdoctors, and also my friends I know who I met in the earlier career of means. So it's helped me a lot for these course disciplines, analyze and the international cooperation. Thank you